historic occasion for the Milwaukee Arena. It's the first basketball game ever between an NBA team and the Soviet national team. It's a McDonald's Basketball Open, the championship game between the Milwaukee Bucks and the USSR. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender. Today concludes a three-game round robin between these Bucks and the Soviets and the Tracer Milan team of Italy. Both of them have defeated the Italians, so we come to the championship game today. Prize money of $50,000 for first place. My pleasure to bring in Dick Vitale. And Dick, how good is this Soviet team? They have three guys that have been drafted by the NBA.
Gary, they really do. They got three outstanding players. The guy I really love is the backcourt player, Marciulionis, an outstanding penetrator. Also, Alexander Volkov, a tenacious defender. And then Tarakanov can shoot the ball from deep. They're a great perimeter basketball team. Rumor has it that some of these guys will play in the NBA. I think I got a better chance of growing some hair and replacing Bruce Willis as the new sex symbol on ABC than they'll ever play here.
On the other end, the Bucks come into this game. They are really not at full strength. They have their four top guards out. Sidney Moncrief has had knee surgery. Also, Ricky Pierce is a holdout and two free agents. Craig Hodges and John Lucas haven't been able to be signed thus far. How's it going to affect them today?
Del Harris right now is a very nervous guy, and you don't blame him, number one. He replaces the legendary Don Nelson, a guy that was a hero in this town. Number two, he's in a situation today where there's tremendous pride at stake. Anytime you put USA against USSR, you know the game has tremendous meaning. And he's worried. This is not an exhibition game. They will play it with tremendous intensity, and I believe the big trio will definitely prevail. And that is Paul Pressey, Terry Cummings, and Jack Sikma. Just too much strength and athletic ability.
Del Harris has said he really has a legacy to uphold following the footsteps of Don Nelson. He talked about what this game means to him.
Well, it's the only opportunity that I've ever had really to represent my own country in a sense. We're also representing the NBA, of which we're certainly a part. And it's a special thing. I mean, I know all my loved ones are watching, and everyone that ever knew me in my life, I suppose, is watching. And I want to do well, and I know that each of our players wants to do the same thing.
It's a landmark game and a lot of media attention. To bring us up to date on that, here's Cheryl Miller.
Thank you, Gary. Today's game has generated a lot of media coverage, not only in the U.S., but internationally as well. There should be well over 35 countries ranging from Argentina to West Germany, either broadcasting the game live or tape delayed. Also receiving today's telecast will be the United States ships at sea, so some of our men in the Persian Gulf, in fact, will be able to watch the Milwaukee Bucks take on the Soviet national team. Now, today's game has been sold out, but those who don't have tickets are not worried at all, mainly because a large screen television has been set up, so those who were turned away from the ticket office, in fact, can come and watch the game and enjoy the other festivities. Back to you, Gary.
Thank you, Cheryl. We're going to be back now with the Soviets going against the Milwaukee Bucks. The starting lineups coming up in just a moment. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. By Miller Brewing Company, sole sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Centers. By Toyota Trucks, setting the standard for quality and value. And by Diet Coke. Enjoy Diet Coke. You're going to drink it just for the taste of it. Sense of anticipation for this historical meeting between the Soviet nationals and the Milwaukee Bucks. And Dick, why Milwaukee? Why'd they bring it here?
Gary, I really believe Commissioner Dave Stern, who's ecstatic about the game. It's like an impossible dream that's happened for him. But he picked Milwaukee basically because it's such a special happening in the city, and there's not a whole deal, a lot to really interfere with the game itself.
All right, we're going to go to the public address announcer now for the introduction of the starting lineup.
In the first game of our tournament Friday evening, the Milwaukee Bucks defeated Tracer Milan 123-111. In yesterday's game, the Soviet nationals were victorious over Tracer Milan 135-108. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the starting lineups for today's game. For the Soviet nationals, at forward, 6'9", number 4, Alexander Volkov. For the Milwaukee Bucks at forward, 6'9", number 34, Terry Cummings. For the Soviet Nationals at forward, 6'9", number 9, Valery Tikhonenko. For the Milwaukee Bucks at forward, 7 foot, number 43, Jack Sikma. For the Soviet Nationals at center, 6'11", number 11, Victor Pankreskin. For the Milwaukee Bucks at center, 7'3", number 45, Randy Breuer. For the Soviet Nationals at guard, 6'4", number 5, Tit Sok. For the Milwaukee Bucks at guard, 6'8", number 35, Jerry Reynolds. For the Soviet Nationals at guard, 6'4", number 7, Sharunas Marciulionis. On the Milwaukee Bucks at guard, 6'5", 25, Paul Pressey. Coaches for this afternoon's game, for the Soviet Nationals, Alexander Gomoski, and for the Milwaukee Bucks, Del Harris. Assistant coaches for the Soviet Nationals, Ivan Yadeshko, trainer Vladimir Bilikov. For the Milwaukee Bucks, trainer Jeff Snedeker, assistant coaches Frank Hamblin, Mac Calvin, and Mike Dunleavy. Referees for the McDonald's Basketball Open from FIBA, Kostas Rigas of Greece, and representing the NBA, Daryl Garrettson. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand now for the playing of the Soviet and U.S. national anthems. First, the national anthem of the Soviet Union. The national anthem of the United States.
International rules. For instance, we're going to be playing with a trapezoid lane that widens from 12 feet to 19 feet 8 inches, and the three-point line is a little bit different.
Well, the three-point line, Gary, is going to be 22 feet as opposed to 23.9 in the NBA and versus 20 feet 6 inches internationally. They're meeting them halfway by moving the NBA line up and moving the international back. But the widened lane should be a little interesting. It's 19 feet 6 inches across the across the foul line area as opposed to 16 feet in the NBA. And the reason I say that can be interesting is, number one, with the trapezoid, it can affect the rhythm and the timing offensively of the Milwaukee Bucks, who like to run a lot of screen downs from their help side.
Also, 4 12-minute quarters as opposed to 20-minute halves in international ball. A 24-second shot clock, and they can play any defense.
Any defense could really be interesting. Yesterday, Gomelski, the coach of the USSR, did not show any zone defense at all. I think today, if he has a shot here against the Milwaukee Bucks, we'll see some zone defense to force Milwaukee to shoot the perimeter shot.
Krashkin going up against Breuer, and Breuer easily comes away with a tip. Up to Jerry Reynolds. Reynolds in the corner to Terry Cummings. Here's Breuer. Breuer chested out, tries the shot. It's deflected back out to Cummings. Cummings has it stripped away by Marciulionis, but Breuer retrieves it on the baseline. Jack Sikma against Volkov. And the rebound cleared by Tikhonenko. He brings it out to Marciulionis. Tit Sok. There is Volkov, a power forward, a warrior, number 4, out to Marciulionis.
Jack Sikma hooking up with Volkov, number 4, who scored 28 yesterday.
This is the guy you got to watch, number 7, Marciulionis, making his move inside, and he is fouled.
Sharunas Marciulionis, according to Don Chaney, the former coach of the Los Angeles Clippers, where he never was given a chance with that team, he says this kid reminds him so much of Gail Goodrich, the former star with UCLA and with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, he traded with the Atlanta Hawks this summer. He had a 42-point game in the summer league. Of course, Gail Goodrich was left-handed. This guy's left-handed, and they do have a lot of similarities. things about him.
They go full court pressure right now, man-to-man. Marciulionis playing ball, Pressey.
USSR by 2, Pressey on the move. Paul Pressey, who's been playing a forward a lot, now out at the guard spot for Del Harris.
He's a 3-position player. He's got great versatility from out of Tulsa University.
So we're even at 2. Here's Teetsok. He's an Estonian, gets it off now to Tarakanov. He's one of the guys drafted by the Atlanta Hawks of the NBA. Here's Pankrashkin, who was not expected to start, but they lost their center to injury. Volkov, and that will count, and he's fouled, and that shows you his ability to go to the hole.
He's a slasher. He's a driver. We saw him yesterday against Bob McAdoo. McAdoo ended up with 41 points for Tracer Milan, but when this guy was in the game, his tenaciousness really bothered McAdoo. Nobody steps in to give any help. That's the widened lane, and there's the strong drive. He was drafted by Mike Fratello and the Hawks also.
He's a Ukrainian, lives in Kiev, 6'9", a 23-year-old, and he now has given the USSR a 5-2 lead. Paul Pressey will bring it into Jack Sikma. Sikma has Volkov on him. He got a piece of him and a foul. Volkov got into foul trouble in the game against Milan. He had 4 fouls in the first 6 minutes.
I don't believe, as tough as he is defensively, that he can check Jack Sikma. Sikma, with his experience, but more than that, he's got that inside pivot move where he steps away and shoots that unorthodox jump shot, and he's got great size over Volkov.
Sikma would like to have a stronger performance this year, acquired last year from the Seattle Supersonics in that trade that sent Alton Lister out there, and they exchanged draft picks. In fact, the Bucks gave up 2 number-1 picks for him.
Lister did a great job for Seattle. In fact, Jerry Colangelo sending some news out that we're for real now in Phoenix. He threw out $3.5 million at Lister, and Lister eventually will be matched by Seattle. He's too important to that team.
They were the surprise team in the NBA last year. Sikma hands them both. He cuts it to 1. Here's Teetsok off to Tarakanov. Volkov, he'll bring it back out. The fans thinking he may have traveled on that play.
Notice the defensive pressure trying to take away the stationary perimeter jump shot of the Soviet Union team.
Tarakanov can't get that, retrieves it, brings it out to Volkov. Teetsok, he'll reset it as he brings it out. He's 22 years old at 6'4".
Sok is a good shooter, and so is Tarakanov. He's a long-range three-point shooter.
Out of bounds is Volkov. They're trying to lob it baseline. He could not come down in the area of play, and so the Bucks will take over on the turnover.
I really like Volkov, and you've got to love Sharonis Marciulionis, number 7.
5-4 the score. USSR at the lead. Here's Terry Cummings. Strong power forward.
That's where the mismatch should happen, Gary. The M&Mers should be at the 2 corners with Sikma and Cummings, just too strong for the young Soviet Union forwards.
And so the Bucks have the lead for the first time, 6-5. Here's Marciulionis. What an exciting left-hander this guy is. Doesn't get that one. Good rebounding that time. Positioning by Paul Pressey. Here comes the former Tulsa standout. He lost it, but it was touched by the Soviets.
When you talk about the great defensive guards in the NBA, you start with Michael Cooper with the Los Angeles Lakers. Mo Cheeks is certainly outstanding. T.R. Dunn, who plays for Denver. But you have to put Paul Pressey right into the group.
Here's Randy Breuer back to Reynolds. Reynolds baseline, and he's been fouled. Jerry Reynolds may have found a new life with the Bucks. He really enjoys playing for Del Harris. He had a 31-point performance in an exhibition game earlier.
Jerry Reynolds is getting a lot of PT, playing time. And Gary, anytime players get playing time, Reynolds is a cutter. He's a driver, moves well without the ball. There he is from out of LSU country. Came out of Brooklyn, New York. But, you know, I heard some people talking today, Gary. They said that Reynolds is going to step in and replace Sidney Moncrief. Heck, that's like Tiny Tim replacing Pavarotti at the Met. There's no way that can happen.
Or like you growing hair, right? That foul, by the way, was on Volkov, so that's his 2nd foul already.
Reynolds is going to be interesting to see how he reacts when they bring back guys like Hodges and John Lucas and get them in a bowl, and Ricky Pierce.
Look at this, full court pressure. 8-5, the Bucks with the lead. Volkov gets it off to Sok. He brings it across to Tarakanov. Tarakanov, 23 years old. He's 6'9". He is a Ukrainian. His team well represented throughout the USSR as he brings it out now to Marciulionis. Marciulionis, little jump dribble, and he's fouled as he moves inside.
We heard an interesting story about Marciulionis this summer. He played with the Atlanta Hawks, and whenever they got in trouble, Mike Fratello lined up with Cliff Levingston, Dominique Wilkins. He put on the floor all his Hawks, and the 5th player, he put on Sharonis Marciulionis.
That was a 3-point attempt. Volkov inside. Breuer rejects it. And Pressey will bring it out. Marciulionis, wide open shot. He doesn't get it, but Tarankano's got the rebound. Boy, they're banging now. Here comes Reynolds.
This is not just another exhibition game, Mr. Bender.
There's Breuer has it kicked away. It is not an ordinary game. You can sense that coming into this game. 8-5, the Bucks. Volkov, they move it very well. Good movement. Krashkin, you don't expect him to shoot that often, but he nails it.
He's like their third unit center. They lost the guy Belastani yesterday who was injured, and they're playing without Sabonis in the middle. Their superstar. What a play! Electricity. Mr. Paul Pressey takes it to the goal.
And Reynolds with the steal, and that is going to be a blocking foul on Teetsong. So very quickly, the Bucks have jumped to a 3-point lead, and they can add to it.
They got to get a timeout right now. I believe Gomelski's going to get a timeout, the coach of the Soviet national team.
That play by Pressey shows you his ability to take it inside.
He's a driver. There he is. Shows that he knows how to drive, how to hang in the air, use great body. He's got tremendous body control.
Well, an outstanding defensive performer 3 times on the NBA All-Defensive team. Reynolds now will have 2 free throws coming at the 8:34 mark of this first quarter. The tempo about what you expected, Dick?
Basically, right now it is. I expect Del Harris's basketball team to go inside a little bit more to Sikma and also to Cummings, because I really believe that's where they have the advantage.
Jerry Reynolds hits the first. Reynolds from LSU in his 3rd year, the #1 draft pick of the Bucks in 1985.
There's the steal right now. Good anticipation. And the drive by Reynolds. He gets fouled on a play.
Salk was the guy that committed the foul. So Jerry is able to cash in both of them. Makes it 12-7 now, Bucks.
Reynolds and Pressey are not good perimeter shooters, Gary. They are drivers. They are slashers. They're going to have to get back Hodges and Lucas and also Pierce to give them good balance offensively.
Hodges, an outstanding 3-point shooter. Here's Volkov. That is a 2-point attempt. And Reynolds battling for it, but Teetsong comes up with it. Salk will reset it now for the USSR.
Notice how Milwaukee's not allowing them to shoot that stationary perimeter jump shot.
They are not unprotected at any moment, and that turnover, good defense by the Bucks again.
That was the demise in the Pan American games when Oscar Schmidt scored 39 against our Pan American team, shooting that perimeter jump shot.
Now, one rule we're playing with, the official does not have to touch the ball. Disbelief, Terry picking up his first personal foul.
When you look at Milwaukee right now, they're in a very tough division. I really believe when you look at that Central Division and you look at the makeup right now with Atlanta, Detroit, and also the improved Chicago Bulls and the Indiana Pacers improving, it's going to be tough for them to sustain 50-game season.
What a power move by Volkov. After Cummings committed his second foul, he takes it in, and it's a 12-9 game in favor of Milwaukee.
If Volkov learns how to shoot that 15-foot jump shot, he definitely can play in the NBA.
Marciulionis gets a hand on it, bats it out, and we're going to have a change now for Milwaukee. Pace Mannion will come in, #3, former Utah standout, who began the year last year at the Nets, then ended up in the CBA, and now it looks like he's going to make this Bucks team.
He's been America's guest, Gary. He's been all over. Played out in Golden State, played at Utah. I remember him for a great collegiate win, which you did the game when they upset UCLA back in 1984.
That's right, and they upset Illinois before that. Van Krashkin that time picking up the foul. 3-point attempt, not finding the mark, and here comes Teetsong. Volkov. After Marciulionis, Sikma's got to jump out on him. What a move. And Krashkin can't handle the pass. So that's a tough pass for a big man.
That was a great look inside, though, by Sharonis Marciulionis.
There's Mannion. Pace Mannion to Cummings. The basket will count, and he's fouled.
Cummings, a big, strong power scorer. In the new look this year for Milwaukee, they're trying to go big. They want to play Randy Breuer in the middle. That's a good look. Excellent look down inside, and there's the power layup and a strong move by the kid from the city of Chicago, Terry Cummings.
Second foul on Krashkin, sending Cummings to the line. Did you see that pass by Mannion? They say he makes very few mistakes, really alert on the floor.
Yeah, he really knows how to execute. He seems to have a knack for making a team, but then seems to play himself off a team at the end of the year when you check his track record.
Right now, we have some problems with the clock, trying to set the clock. And obviously, we don't have, let's see, is that correct now? It is correct. It's 7:09.
Gary, talking about the new look for the Milwaukee Bucks, they're going to try to go to a big team and play Breuer more inside. He didn't get any PT at all at the end of the year under Don Nelson. and they're going to play Cummings at the small forward position and Sikma at the big forward position. Now, if they had Sidney Moncrief and you put John Lucas back there and bring Pierce off the bench, that is one tough basketball team.
USSR now has 5 team fouls, so already they're in the penalty. 15-9 now. The Bucks with the lead. Pete Stock inside, and that basket's going to count, and he's fouled.
He's an improved player. They say he has really improved his game. This summer, they were locked up in the European Championships against Greece, and over in Athens, they lost 105 to 103 with 17,000 screaming fans. And the star of the game from Seton Hall University, Nicky Galis of 1979 fame, scored 40 points.
Excuse me, Jerry Reynolds committing the foul, 15-11. Milwaukee leading the Soviets. We'll be back. Back at the Milwaukee Arena, Gary Bender and Dick Vitale. The Bucks with a 15-11 lead as the Soviets now making a change. Vladas Chomicius is coming in, a 6'2 guard, a very gritty, determined guy at 28 years of age. He'll be number 13.
He's a very experienced player, and he can really shoot the basketball. In fact, Rick Barry absolutely loves him. He believes that Chomicius can definitely play in the NBA. Their strength is their backcourt. Naturally, not having Sabonis here, who really has been on a decline. I'll tell you, Gary, when I saw him as an 18-year-old, it could be because of a lack of competition in Europe, but he has not improved at the rate I thought I'd see in his career.
Well, there's talk that Sabonis may never get back. He has severe Achilles tendon problems.
He's had 3 times, I believe, he's been cut.
15-12 now, the Bucks. Cummings with Volkov on him, and Terry doesn't let that stop him with the shot, as coming out of it now is Teague Sock with the ball.
Suck really wants to shoot that one-hand jump shot, and they're not going to allow him to do it.
They have a kicking violation. They'll reset the shot clock back to 24 seconds, and the USSR will inbounds. Chomicius will bring it in, number 13, out to Suck. Chomicius is the guy who is a real gym rat. He spends about 10 hours a day working on his shot. And we're going to have a foul on Pace Manning trying to stop Marciulionis.
They really work very diligently in practice. I was so impressed with their workouts. Alexander Gomelski really puts them through a lot of intense workouts, and I had the chance to talk to him earlier today, and I'm going to tell you something. He really loves Bobby Knight. There we look, him trying to come over the screen. A little bump by Mannion.
Both teams now are in the penalty. Marciulionis, second shot, and he cuts it to 1. 15-14, the Bucks.
KCRG TV9, Cedar Rapids, Waterloo.
Crowd been kind of quiet. I think they're kind of awed a little bit by this USSR team, just kind of scouting them out.
They're a lot stronger than the team that came here last year on a tour and was 8-6 against the Collegians.
I think Del Harris thought that they were keeping some of their game under wraps, too, against that team from Italy. There is a shot missing by Chomicius. Here comes Paul Pressey. Reaching out on him is Marciulionis.
Nice backdoor cut.
The assist to Pressey, the basket to Reynolds.
Reynolds really runs an excellent backdoor cut.
Volkov to Marciulionis. A little out of control on that play. And it comes back to Pressey. Breakaway to Reynolds. Jerry Reynolds' best game. He loves that transition game.
He likes the open court. He wants to get up and down the floor. Here comes full court pressure. This is one of their real problem areas if the ball doesn't get in the hands of Marciulionis.
19-14 now, the Bucks. Get the feeling the Soviets a couple of times have been a little out of control, trying to break down the floor. Volkov out to Sock. Way short of the mark. Good defense by Pressey that time. Reynolds to Sikma.
Jack Sikma in the secondary phase of the running game, the trailer.
Pretty impressive break down the floor. One by Reynolds, one by Sikma. It brings the crowd to their feet. 21-14. The Bucks with the lead with 5:07. We'll be back with more on this historic landmark international game between the Soviets and the Bucks.
Gary, right now, we'll look at the trailer. There's Sikma running the trailing position in the break. They communicate. Right there, he's letting them know. He's saying, Jerry, I'm on the right. And he gets him the basketball, reversing it to him. Reynolds is fighting for playing time. He wants to get some PT with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Boy, he loves that up-tempo game. Jack Sikma will be 32 on November 14th, running like he was 10 years younger. And there's Cummings with a deflection. 21-14, the Bucks. Reynolds again, and he's fouled. Foul by Chomicius, who tried to go up. Chomicius is not near as big as Reynolds, and he came away on the short end of that one.
Defensive pressure is really bothering the Soviet national team. And right now, they're holding them to 29% shooting, 4 for 14. And that's one of the great strengths of Milwaukee. There's the drive. He takes it to the goal exceptionally hard. In his first 2 exhibition games, Jerry Reynolds went to the line 29 times because he's a driving, slashing player.
He has 8 points. He's 4 of 4 from the line, and he misses that one. Chomicius is only 6'2". You got to remember, Reynolds is at 6'8". That's a pretty tall guy to try to stop on that kind of play.
Also, Gary, during the Don Nelson era when he was here, Milwaukee consistently would shut teams down and allow them to shoot one of the lowest field goal percentages in the NBA. They really prided themselves with great team defense.
5 minutes to go in the first quarter. 22-14 in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks. Substitution now in the ball game. Vladis Walters, number 10, is now checked in at one of the guard spots. So he and Chomicius, this guy at the guard spots, and Chomicius hits it.
Chomicius is a gutty performer. He's got great touch, gets into the lane, good balance when he shoots the little jumper.
Terry Cummings posting up. They can't stop him inside on that post-up move.
Look at that big body. He's got 1 more year, and then he's a free agent. I'd like to represent him, Gary.
You probably will.
He's almost making as much as you.
7 points now for Terry Cummings. Marciulionis just not finding any alley in there. He's going to try one from the side. Not hitting. Sikma, good effort inside, comes away with it.
Marciulionis had never been guarded by someone of the capability of Paul Pressey.
The Bucks' quickness, open court ability really have a
good look. Just too strong across the front, Gary. As I said on the top of the show, Sikma and Cummings are just really too talented for their front court.
Bucks playing extremely well. 26-16, 10-point lead. Here's Walters, his first attempt. Cummings in position, and Punkrashkin commits a foul.
I love Cummings' comment when he said, hey, you better believe this is something special. When it says USA and USSR, I am coming flat out to play.
Well, we went to practice yesterday, and you knew that. You could sense it. Del Harris, as you look at the father of basketball in the Soviet Union, Goborov, he started watching basketball on TV from the United States in 1956. And next to him is Odeshko. And we're going to have further about him. He's the guy that threw that controversial pass in '72
when they
led
stole
to the win.
When they flat out stole the gold medal from our 1972 team. He threw the pass, and Belov caught it and made the layup.
That's Ivan Odeshko.
I'm not too prejudiced, am I?
You certainly got your point across. Paul Mokeski, number 44, now comes in for the Bucks. Cummings will lead. Cummings' strong performance, 7 points, but doing such a good job in the open floor. 27-16 the Bucks.
We haven't seen any three-point conversions thus far by the Soviet Union team, and they live off the three-point shot.
Goborov getting ready to change centers. He's going to bring in Goborov, a 21-year-old, as the other center who picked up his 3rd foul a moment ago. Punkrashkin hits, and he just picked up his 4th foul. So before Goborov could get him out of there, Punkrashkin commits his 4th foul, and coming in is an exciting young performer for the USSR. Number 15, Valery Goborov. He's 6'11".
Punkrashkin, number 11, really can't play with Jack Sikma. Doesn't have his speed. There he is now. He pushes him out of bounds, shoves him. Doesn't have his kind of court speed and quickness and athletic ability.
They will be allowed 6 fouls. They'll use that NBA rule. So going out with 4 is Punkrashkin.
Sikma, a lot of people, as you said earlier, Gary, didn't have a great year. They thought that he would be the final piece to the puzzle to be able to take them to the ultimate with the elite people, the Celtics and the Lakers. But, you know, he still averaged over 10 rebounds a game. He came on strong at the end of the year. But I look for his numbers to go up this year. I think he'll average 16 points a game. We
have a change. Punkrashkin stays in. They're going to leave Punkrashkin and Goborov in as Marciulionis is checked out. Kind of surprised they leave him in with 4 fouls. Walters outside.
He did that yesterday also with Volkov. I was really surprised when he picked up 4 against McAdoo.
Gary Reynolds, this is his day right now. Kick back out. Chomicius out to Walters. Sikma's back, has to change his shot for Jack, but he got it.
Walters made a great pass yesterday. Little head fake right there freed him for that jump shot. He's a good player. They got excellent perimeter players with Marciulionis. Oh, they go to the zone. They go to the zone.
And, of course, the problem here is you only have 24 seconds to attack it, and that has to hurry things up a bit. Here's Pressey, baseline, spin move. 6 seconds on the shot clock, and Reynolds goes in the interior, and he's been fouled.
When you think about the zone defense, as you just mentioned, with the 24-second clock, it's very difficult. As we look at Belastani, he got hurt yesterday. Their 7-foot center. It was very doubtful that he can play today, even though he warmed up and looked kind of impressive during the
I didn't
warm-up.
think he'd warm up after seeing him yesterday. Anyway, Volkov has come back in for the USSR.
Gary, I want to make that point about the zone defense. The zone defense with the 24-second clock, it's very difficult to attack 5-on-5 to get the kind of execution you need for a great shot. You must beat the zone with this kind of clock. You've got to beat it before it sets up. You've got to beat it up the court for the easy transition layup.
This guy's been leading him. Reynolds now with 10 points. He's hit 6 of 7 from the free throw line.
Ricky Pierce really should be here. Ricky Pierce is out of camp. He signed a 3-year deal last year. You know, Ricky, you got to honor that contract. You got to talk about morality. He should be on this floor right now and wait until that contract's completed and then go in. His agent wants $750. He signs for $250 last year. Question, Gary, if he had a bad year, would he run in and say, hey, I'm going to give you back $150?
What do you think? Sergei Tarakanov has checked in. This is Tarakanov right here, number 6, who's in for the first time. He's 28 years old, 6'6". Volkov looking back door. Chomicius having a little trouble. Going to put one up with 1 second on the shot clock. And coming away with it is Tarakanov, who just checked in, and they've got him in here to bang a little bit. And we're going to have a hell ball.
Tarakanov is a physical player. He's a scrapper. He's a physical player. Hey, Ricky Pierce had a great year. I want to stress that. Last year, he averaged 19.5 a game. He's perfect for this system. Look at the physical contact we're going to see right here. There's the ball now going to go to the deck. Get after it, a little loose ball. Keith Jackson would love to be calling the action now here at the Haas football time.
Well, Tarakanov came away a little bit dazed by that. He caught something in his right ear. You can see him holding it, number 6. He was shaken up. They're giving him time to recover now, and he says he's all right.
You know, you talk about versatility in Paul Pressey. I think the most versatile performer in the arena today has to be Gary Bender. You got to tonight be in the losing locker room at the World Series and tomorrow do the NFL game.
I'm going to stay with you today, though, Dick. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm just hanging on to you.
Just get ready to talk to Ozzie Smith and company because this show belongs to the Homer Hanky heaven over at the Metrodome with Viola pitching. They had to win it yesterday with Tudor beating Straker.
Boy, you really picked him now. You better not show up in St. Louis. He'll get you. 31-20 now. The Bucks have built it to an 11-point lead. Paul Mokeski at the line.
He's an important player. They're trying to get some minutes out of Mokeski inside, rotating with Breuer. Last year, he played with a brace on his knee. He told me yesterday the knee is feeling really good, and he's playing with a sleeve as opposed to a heavy brace that he wore all last year.
He's a very smart player, really understands the game well. The former Kansas standout, and it's 32-20 with 1:53 to go in this first quarter. Modest Alters trying to take Pace Mannion inside. Brings it out now to Tarakanov. Tarakanov a little indecisive, and he loses it. Mannion, Pressey.
Little slam, jam, bam. A little music up on top by PP, Paul Pressey.
Biggest lead of the game now for the Bucks.
I love Pressey. Don Nelson got a steal when he drafted him.
That was an impressive move by the 20-year-old Goborov. He's the guy that they hope somewhere down the line might make him forget about Sabonis, but he's a little bit mechanical, Dick. He doesn't have that great natural fluid ability.
He really is going to benefit a great deal from their tour playing against the college teams here that starts in about a week or so, and I think that's going to help him tremendously. They're zoning.
Double team on Breuer. Breuer tries to follow. Goborov had a hand on it. Chomicius kicks it off now to Tarakanov. Tarakanov somehow comes up and gets it through.
I thought there was a walk-in violation. I thought they missed that play right there. Darryl Garrison along the baseline, one of the better officials in the NBA. Some say the best.
Well, he's a supervisor of officials. He knows something about this game. 34-29. Breuer, very awkward looking shot. Out it comes to Chomicius. Chomicius. Tarakanov, they're making a little run right now, and it comes back out. Walters, three-pointer.
That's what they love to do, shoot that stationary jump shot.
Mokeski brings it down. 30 seconds to go in this first quarter. There's Breuer.
Nice look inside by Pressey. He throws the high lob to the giant inside, Randy Breuer, Minnesota fame.
I think Brewer's a little upset. He put that one down with a note of finality. Here's Volkov. Volkov is a warrior. He takes it every chance he gets, and he can also shoot it from outside.
He's a very physical player who can really run the court as well.
Pressey to Mokeski. That's something. You got a guy that big who can shoot that far out. So we have played the first quarter here in this historic meeting between the Soviets and the Bucks. After 12 minutes, 33-29, Milwaukee. The proceeding was a message brought to you by the National Basketball Association. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by AT&T, the right choice. By Edge Gel, not your ordinary shave. And by Toyota Trucks, setting the standard for quality and value. Well, we've been having a lot of trouble with the scoreboard clock, not only time-wise, but score-wise. That is the accurate score as we begin the second quarter. The Bucks leading the USSR 38-26. One thing that's happened in this game thus far, Dick, is the fact that they just can't stop the Bucks running game. That's been the difference.
Well, number one, the Bucks transition game, but number two, I think more important than that, as we look at the field goal percentages right here, the Soviets are shooting 37% and Milwaukee 63%, and the reason for that is that Milwaukee's done a tremendous job of shutting down the perimeter shooting game of the Soviet Union.
Randy Breuer tips it off to Mannion, and it's batted out of bounds. It'll be off the Bucks. Chomicius in at guard, still with ball tears. This is Tarakanov. Tarakanov from outside. Boxing out well, the Bucks. Charles Davis is in there now, number 21. Valters goes for the steal, but Mannion's got it. Sloppy right now. Volkov off to Valters. Mannion there, but Valters hits it, and Mannion collides with a cameraman behind the basket. Seems to be all right. I don't know about the cameraman.
Walters is a strong driver to the goal. I really like him, number 10.
10-point lead now for the Bucks as we begin the second quarter. Randy Breuer. Goborov just can't reach up and keep the big 7'2" guy from scoring.
He takes a lot of space inside, uses his hands really well, and gets into the gap. They were playing a 2-3 zone right there, Gary.
40-28 Milwaukee. Backdoor. Tarakanov can't hang on. Mokeski's got it. Here is Charles Davis, who has checked in. He has it broken up.
Very sloppy play because you got forwards handling the ball in the middle of the court.
Volkov puts the finishing touches on, and he does it with a lot of authority.
Everybody in the place yesterday was talking about Volkov and Marciulionis. I mean, the question around was, what did you think of Volkov and what did you think of Marciulionis?
Volkov now with 9 points in the game.
They're playing the zone.
Off to Davis again. It's very unusual, of course, having to play against his zone. They haven't had a lot of time to work against it in practice this week. Batted out of bounds off of the USSR.
With the zone defense right now, they have to swing the ball, get a little ball reversal. Look for Charlie Davis, number 21 from Milwaukee. He is a good perimeter shooter.
Charlie Davis out of Vanderbilt. He's played with the Bucks, then was cut, ended up in Rockford playing for the CBA and trying to make the club this year. And here he is with the ball. Mokeski, nice spin move. Goborov can hang on, and it's off.
That's their version of the Twin Towers, playing Breuer and playing Mokeski. I don't know if that can compete with the Twin Towers in Houston, Sampson and Olajuwon.
Sikma comes in. Randy Breuer will leave. Sikma, as we said, will be 32 November 14th. He scored over 13,000 points in his career, 7-time All-Star. And that one's kicked out of bounds by Volkov. They'll reset the shot clock to 24.
Mentioning Olajuwon and also Sampson, they can use Marciulionis. They can use a guard.
Sikma inside. Breuer checked at Mokeski with the follow tip. It shows you how well he plays the game. Seems to be in the right place, even though he has that bad knee. 42-30, Milwaukee.
Notice the defensive pressure.
Volkov back out to Walters. Chomicius to Tarakanov.
Chomicius is the guy they want to get to shoot the ball. Volkov is not a good long-range shooter, number 4.
And he doesn't get it. Sikma's got it, and he'll bring it out. Good hustle that time by Chomicius. He's a gritty, determined guy. He'll go down for it. USSR is 0 for 9 on three-point attempts.
Because Gary, they're having to shoot the three-point attempt with a hand in their face and with defensive pressure. They're not allowing them to stationary, get set up, and to shoot that jumper. This Sikma posted inside. We got a mismatch size-wise, and there's the foul.
That's Balders committing a foul on Sikma. The USSR going to make some changes when we pick up the play. Goborov trailing by 12 points in this game with 9:22 to go until our halftime at the Milwaukee Arena. We've talked about Goborov. He has directed this Soviet basketball fortune for a long time. He has a very unusual way of getting his team prepared.
He has some unique concepts. Right now, he's timing them 5 minutes, where after practice, every practice, they lay on the floor, and he puts them to sleep. And while he's doing it, he's really emphasizing positive reinforcement constantly. He's talking to them about how good they are. There's a look at Alexander Goborov. He loves the game, very bubbly individual. And also another unique concept, he makes his players in practice. You ready for this, Gary? Shoot free throws while they're on their knees to stress a little bit of the follow-through and to get that strong wrist.
As we come back, the Bucks with a 12-point lead. This is a three-point attempt by Davis. The rebound is clear by Tarakanov, who's checked back into the ball game. Marciulionis also back. And this man still in. Volkov, and he's just taking it to the hole right now.
What you have to do against Volkov defensively, the scouting report, if you evaluate his game, number 4, you have to play one step off him, Gary, and allow him to shoot the perimeter shot. He's a tough, hard-nosed player. He was drafted by Mike Fratello's Atlanta Hawks. There's a rule that you must draft an international player at age 22. And draft him at age 22, you hold on to his rights practically forever.
That foul was on Mokeski. Dudley Bradley is now checked in for the Bucks, number 24. His defensive ability is a real asset to this Milwaukee team. Here's Volkov. Tarakanov, three-point attempt. They still cannot find the range from there. Tarakanov horses it back up. Mokeski bats it out of bounds.
What they've done is a great job shutting down Tarakanov. He shoots the three-point shot like it's a layup, and he has not had one opportunity yet to shoot the three-point shot. Number 9, Tarakanov.
He's supposed to be Sabonis's best friend. He's 23 years old in the Red Army team. Sock driving in, he got hit in the face as he is fouled as he made that move inside. That foul will go on Pace Mannion, and so Sock will go to the line. This guy's very quiet, Teach Sock. He trained with the Atlanta Hawks as well.
He must be like me, very quiet guy, shy, introverted.
Sure are, Dick. Here comes Pressey back into the ball game. Mannion will check out.
You have to love Paul Pressey. He's just such a dynamite player. We talked about his flexibility. He was given the term point forward, playing that wing position by Don Nelson, but he can play any one of 3 positions and play them effectively. Number 1 guard, 2nd guard, or small forward.
Outstanding defender, outstanding passer. And right now, the absence of Moncrief and Lucas and Craig Hodges going to have to really do the job for Del Harris in his first year. Here's Sikma baseline. Davis fouled. Foul's going to go on Marciulionis.
They're playing a 2-3 zone, and a 2-3 zone, if you have some good spacing against it, Gary, you should be able to get some good wing shots along the wings, 15 feet, step in a gap, and it should be wide open.
Second foul on Marciulionis, and Davis will go to the line. You know, an interesting thing about the Bucks, they picked up several players who have played in the CBA, and this is one of them, Charles Davis. He played
last year in Italy. He was over in Italy, averaged about 17 points a game.
He's been there. Pace Mannion has been in the CBA. They've got another guy, John Stroeder. You got to look around. You try to find somebody who can help your ball club.
Stroeder played for Bill Musselman, the Rapid City Thrillers, when they won the championship. And they think Stroeder's got a good chance to make the 12-man roster. He's 6'10 and a half from out of Montana.
Terry Cummings now is checked back into the ball game. 44-31 with 8:19 to go until half. Teach Sock out to Marciulionis. Marciulionis has been shut down thus far. Dudley Bradley has shut down a lot of players. Mark Krashkin tries it. Volkov keeps it alive.
Bradley's a defensive specialist. He's rising to the challenge of wanting to guard Marciulionis right now. Watch that matchup right now. Number 24 on number 7.
That's a three-point attempt. They just can't hit from there. Tarakanov tries to follow his missed shot, and Pressey's got it. 44-31 Milwaukee, and Pressey just goes all the way. Mokeski with the follow.
Remember, internationally, you can play with the ball on top of the cylinder, and that's permitted in this game.
Pressey has been going inside, and they just have not stopped his penetrating moves.
He has those long arms, Gary.
Marciulionis with Bradley on him. And we have a blocking foul on Dudley Bradley. And now the man we were talking about a moment ago, John Stroeder, who played collegiately at Montana. He is number 54 with the Rapid City Thrillers. They captured the CBA championship last year.
That's about the third in a row for Bill Musselman, who's done a great job in his CBA, the former coach for Ted Stepien and the Cleveland Cavaliers. What a name in NBA history, Ted Stepien.
Cleveland would just soon forget, huh? Stroeder, by the way, is a 29-year-old rookie. Says, I've gotten tougher, I'm smarter, and I think I can play this year and make this ball club. 46-31, Bucks. Pressey off to Bradley. Nice pass to Stroeder, and he missed an easy shot. Cummings tries to follow.
Look at that horse. Look at that horse. They never had to deal with him playing in European basketball. Terry Cummings.
6'9", 235, a sixth-year man from DePaul. 4 or 5 years he's led a team in scoring. Von Krashkin's upset. He was upset at the other end when that play, they put the ball in and comes back, commits a foul, and now Milwaukee's calling a timeout.
Domelsky gets the TO right there.
So with 6:55 left to go in the first half, Milwaukee cruising along.
You can see 30.
Of course, tonight, the final game of the '87 World Series. Joe McGrain, the left-hander, going for the Redbirds. The Twins will go with their 17-game winner in the regular season, Frank Viola. The championship up for grabs. Showdown begins live at 8 o'clock Eastern. And there's Bowie Kuhn. Wonder why he's not. He must be flying over there tonight, huh?
I got to really like Minnesota Homer Hankey. Hey, I'm going to give Michaels, Palmer, and McCarver A+. I'm going to be a TV critic, and I'll tell you something else. We'll get through that after this layup.
There's Cummings, fouled. Goborov committing the foul. Go ahead, Dick.
Big, strong play. Hey, McCarver's got to be an all-time wacko. Any guy that has an opportunity to play a lead role with Bo Derek and turns it down. Now I know why he was a catcher. They tell me catcher and lineman are absolutely Zulu, and those guys have to be wacky.
He turned it down, huh? What was the name of it?
I don't know the name of the movie, but I heard that John Derek called and said, I want you to play the lead with Bo Derek. Why did he call me, Gary?
You don't have enough hair. 48-31, Cummings now with his second shot. By the way, that last timeout was charged to the Bucks. Gomelski tried to get it as well, but they'd already charged it to Milwaukee. Gomelski's had a tough time with the timeouts. He doesn't really understand the TV timeouts and when to call them.
I also believe that he realized how strong Milwaukee was going to be and what a tough task.
There's Stroeder from outside, so after missing an easy one, he hits one from outside.
He's 29 years of age, and we looked at Del Harris on the sideline. Del Harris really believes he's got a chance to make this team. He's very excited about John Stroeder as a backup player.
20-point lead now for the Bucks. Marciulionis has really not been a factor in this game. I thought he might be the guy that would make a difference.
Paul Pressey has locked them up. He has really locked them up.
Deep sock, and Cummings with an impressive rebound. 6 minutes to go now until half. Gary Cummings, nice head fake, off to Stroeder.
Little dancing music, but they let it go by. But Stroeder takes it up strong. He wants to make this team and get that big paycheck.
This kind of basket will help his cause as he's hit now 2 back-to-back.
He's been a basketball vagabond. You got his whole record there. It's unbelievable where he's been.
You have to love to play the game to be up in Rapid City and then move different places. Went back to work for a while. Marciulionis just isn't finding the mark. There he gets it on his foul.
He's 1 for 6 right now. He missed his first 5 shots, number 7, but he can flat out play. He can start with a lot of NBA teams. Believe me, he's a solid all-around performer.
Paul Pressey coming off his defender. Stroeder, big, strong guy on the floor, and we're going to have a jump ball. Substitution now. Walters will come back in for the USSR, and Tinkenenko will check out. He is out of uniform. He has different colored shoes than the rest of them.
He wears shoes that Larry Kam, our director, would wear when he played, with his black underwear hanging out of his shorts when he played in the YMCA.
I hope you and Larry speak to each other after this is over. 53-33. Off to Stroeder. Out Paul Pressey. Pressey with Salk on him. Paul just forces it in.
That's an M&M'er. That's a mismatch right there. He's got great size. The long arms even make him bigger than what he is. And Salk has a tough time matching up with Pressey.
Nice move by Walters that time. Ball doesn't go. Sikma there. Jack brings it off to Pressey. Here's Terry Cummings. Rebound by Goborov. They come to the other end.
I like Goborov, too. For 20 years of age, the 7-footer has got some good potential.
That's going to be a charging call. It's going to go against Team Salk. So Salk committing a personal foul.
That's his second.
That is his second personal foul, and the Bucks will inbound.
I was talking to Darryl Garrettson yesterday, and I really like the NBA rule on a charge. You can't have a score on a charge, as opposed to that makeup call you have in collegiate basketball, where you count it and you go on the other end and you shoot a one-on-one.
You saw Volkov coming back into the USSR, number 4. So Volkov on Krashkin and Goborov, the front wall, and that's thrown away. Anticipation, but nobody there. So they have some big guys up front now trying to offset this rebounding of Milwaukee. Dudley Bradley, what a situation to come off of the bench with a defensive player like he is. Marciulionis just can't seem to hit that shot.
Bradley's a defensive specialist, Gary, as you alluded to earlier, coming out of Dean Smith country at North Carolina. But he's going to have a very difficult time making this team. I think the numbers are against him.
Goborov was able to score and was fouled by Stroeder. As coming back in now will be Jerry Reynolds for the Bucks. So it's Pressey along with Reynolds, Terry Cummings, Sikma, and Stroeder. Here he is. Jerry Reynolds. Goborov now.
Goborov has got a lot of potential. This guy's 6'11". He's only 20 years of age. He's got a very good touch, very strong. I was impressed with him during the workouts. And I think on a collegiate tour, he'll get a lot of experience and could be a solid player in another year.
Boy, they do have a very impressive number of teams they're going to be facing.
Well, they got to go against North Carolina, Nevada, Las Vegas, Arizona, Vanderbilt, Indiana, Kentucky. They don't have any Coastal Carolinas or any teams like Clemson has. Cliff Ellis down there. Do you hear me, Cliff? Look at that tip-in.
Stroeder playing strong and trying to make this ball club has scored 6 points. 57-34, Milwaukee. A lot of people in camp for the Bucks, and this is a chance for some guys to take an inside track to making the 12-man roster when they open the season November 5th against the Boston Celtics.
And then they have the Detroit Pistons. That's not going to be easy.
Marciulionis, foul by Cummings. Marciulionis not able to hit outside, now trying to operate inside.
I think the frustration right here during this half has been the inability of the Soviet Union team to shoot the long-range jump shot. They were really shut down. We watched Marciulionis move without the ball. There's the little head fake inside. Good poise, lays it up on a glass and converts it.
Cummings with his 3rd personal foul.
Hey, the players love Michael Fratello. They think he's the best NBA coach they have ever worked with. Michael, don't get too excited. You were the only one they've ever worked with.
Sikma double teamed on the baseline. Volkov reaches in, comes up with it. Alexander Volkov.
He wants to
rock
drive
with that one.
He's constantly thinking, take the ball to the goal.
So the Ukrainian walks with the ball. He speaks English. They say he's a bit of a ham. As he tries to stop that shot by Cummings, and Cummings right now hitting everything dead center. Strong first half, 59-36. He has 13 points.
He's just a big-time baseline scorer. He can play on the boxes. He can go out to the corner.
Look at this. Cummings on the steal.
Give it back.
Reynolds. Oh, that's goaltending.
Yeah, that definitely is goaltending.
That wasn't in the cylinder.
No, it was not. Reynolds, a little hot dog, a little mustard time. Instead of giving it back, he said, I'm going to take it to the goal. You got enough points, Mr. Cummings.
Not a bad mid-air fake, though, was it?
He's got some ability, Gary. He has to learn how to play the game in terms of good execution and use his brain a little bit more than just his ability.
Volkov knocks it out of bounds. We're going to have a timeout by the USSR. Substitution coming into the ball game. That's Winston Garland, number 5. Del Harris bringing some new troops into this game. A lot happening. The World Series, international landmark game here, and the NFL. Washington, who's lost only once. They survived that strike very effectively, and the Colts defeating New England. That was a big win for Ron Meyer, who used to coach the Patriots. San Francisco over New Orleans. They did very well with their replacement team. And Green Bay defeating Detroit. That game was played in the Silverdome. Pittsburgh over Cincinnati. And Chicago, Tampa Bay, 27-26. Jim McMahon was expected to play in that game. They were a start by Komzak. 61-36 as we pick it up again. On Krashkin on the missed shot by Sikma. 2:15 to go until half. This is Chomicius back in the ball game.
The Soviet Union's an outstanding running basketball team. They use the air pass exceptionally well in running the ball up the court. But Milwaukee's done a great job in defensive transition and taking away the running game.
Boy, Volkov was kind of mugged on that one, wasn't he? Out it comes to Pressey. Suspended in midair. Krashkin did a good job defensively. It's off of him. And it will be the Bucks ball. Winston Gardner, as we mentioned, coming in during that last break. He's a rookie out of Southwest Missouri State, and he's on the edge trying to make this club.
He told us yesterday one of his great thrills was beating Clemson in the NCAA, and then he lost a heartbreaker to your alma mater, Kansas. Count the gold. Continuation in the NBA.
Shows the strength of Jack Sikma. 7 foot, 250, able to horse that one in. The guy that committed the foul was Walters.
Little screen and roll. Just a little screen and roll right there, Gary, and he demonstrates the great strength you just talked about and takes it up and scores.
One free throw coming now for Sikma.
He's called the Blonde Angel in Italy. He couldn't believe it. Today, Dino Menegan, their superstar, the best player voted in European history, said he calls him the Blonde Angel.
His son idolizes Jack Sikma. Of course, this game being broadcast back by the Italians, and there is a foul. Coming in now in this game is going to be Sergei Tarakanov, number 6, and going out will be Volkov. There's Tarakanov.
Dino Menegan is 37 years of age, plays for that Tresa Milan team with Bob McAdoo. He's played in 4 Olympics, almost like, I guess, very similar to Al Order, just as a legend out in Italy. And he said, unfortunately, he wasn't in great physical condition to demonstrate his ability here this weekend.
There's the numbers on Jack Sikma. Through the years with the Sonics, he averaged 16.8. He dropped off last year to 12.7. He did lead the Sonics in rebounding for 8 years and led the Bucks last year.
You mentioned the Sonics, and Bernie Bickerstaff has to be one of the young rising stars in coaching, along with a guy like Doug Collins doing a great job in Chicago, revitalizing Chicago's program. And you have to put Mike Fratello there, and you can't forget Mike Shula, even though I believe Pat Riley should have been the coach of the year for the job he did with the Lakers.
Broken up. That's off of the USSR. Boy, the Central Division's really going to be tough. And the Bucks, of course, having to play in it. Here is Sikma inside. Foul and tip. That's Stroeder again. Stroeder is really doing a fine job.
Well, he's playing more than just for international pride right now. He's playing for a paycheck, baby.
That's 8 points for the 29-year-old rookie. He and Krashkin kind of pushing each other on the baseline area. Just outside a minute, as you can see, left to go in the first half.
Gary, as I said on top of the show, I felt they would shut down their perimeter shooting, and also their strength inside with Sikma and with Cummings would just be too much for this young Soviet national team.
There's some fine defensive work. The shot clock expiring, and the Bucks get it. Sikma, little change with the left hand, doesn't go, and now Krashkin with a rebound. Talking about the Central Division, that will be tough, but do you think the Lakers can repeat?
Oh, what a nice look. He runs the 45-degree angle. I'll get to your question, Gary. I'm not trying to dodge it. But I definitely feel Pat Riley's team can repeat because of the Magic Man, Kareem, and James Worthy. They're hungry players. They're not guys that are going to have that individual ego affect them and jealousy, etc., which happens a lot of times after a team wins a championship. They want the big bucks, and they're not hungry. Magic is hungry, and I definitely feel they'll repeat.
Schroeder not able to get that one to go. 67-36, and we're going to have a traveling call, and Chomicius. 20 seconds left in the first half.
We haven't seen Kortanitis at all. He seems to have fallen into the doghouse. He didn't play a lot of minutes yesterday, and they said he was one of the better guards in Soviet national basketball.
Well, Remus Kortanitis has fallen, as they say, out of favor.
And I worked on that name all day in front of my mirror. I know you were proud of me yesterday in the lobby. I kept mumbling all these names all day long. I'm doing pretty good with those names.
Not bad, not bad.
I was going to let you handle the Soviet team, and I was going to handle the Milwaukee Bucks.
Let me tell you something. I don't think anybody knows if you pronounced them wrong. Anyway, here's Sitka with 3 seconds left in the first half. And So the first half is over. Very impressive performance by the Bucks. The USSR not able to shoot well outside, not able to rebound inside, and it's 67-36. The Bucks have a halfway point lead. The Milwaukee Bucks with a 67-36 lead over the USSR in this landmark game in international basketball. The only time the United States lost to the Soviets was in 1972 in Munich. It was a very controversial loss, and it ended a streak of 62 consecutive wins in Olympic play. We're going to go back now and recapture what has been a very, very long day.
It was purely political injection and incompetence and those kinds of things that led for us to lose that game. I mean, we, by all standards, should have won the game. And it's hard to go down in history sort of as a footnote.
It was a historic moment, not because the United States lost an Olympic game, because of the way it was lost. Bobby Jones was in that starting lineup.
Look back on that last game as the fact that we played very well, played very hard. We were losing most of the game, and we came back, and in my mind, we won the game one time and lost it. We won it twice and lost it one time.
But the Russians recover, now intercepted. 5 seconds, 4 seconds.
When Doug Collins was fouled, the stage was set for that unbelievable ending. Collins' free throws gave the U.S. a 1-point lead with just 3 seconds left. As the Soviets impounded the ball, the referee stopped play. The Soviet coach had called timeout when Collins was on the line. They got a second chance.
So we'll have to speculate that it's all over. Wow, what a finish. The United States winning their 8th consecutive gold medal. This place has gone crazy.
Wrong again. A Basketball Federation official overruled the referees, saying the clock was set incorrectly. The Soviets had a third chance.
But apparently, there is time for the Russians to go to their big man, Alexander Belov. They're going to try. Alexander Belov between 2 American defenders.
Very, very angry, very upset. As I said, it was a very emotional moment to sit there, and because I was right there and I looked up and the thing just went right through the net. Also, for years, I felt a little guilty about us losing the gold medal, and then it dawned on me years and years ago that it wasn't my fault. Situations and circumstances sometimes are beyond your control. The game was decided by an official who really just happened to be at the game, who just was in the stands watching the game, and really, if he had not been there, we would have won. The officials who were working the game, had declared us the winners, and he overruled them, and so that was really kind of like just a circumstance, a fluke that he happened to be there, and I regret that a game that important can hinge on something like that.
College politics, or a bizarre twist of fate. The American protest was turned down, and in a protest of their own, the U.S. team voted unanimously not to accept the silver medal. Now, 15 years later, it's a vote the current congressman from Maryland is still reminded of.
It's amazing. Even when I was on the campaign trail last year, it always came up. Even I think my opponent tried to kid one time and said that we're the only basketball team to have lost a gold medal, and that hurt me a little bit, and it also bothered me because in my heart I felt that we didn't lose the gold medal.
Get the pick right.
Basketball has remained a big part of Jim Forbes' life. He coaches at a high school in El Paso, Texas. He teaches history there as well. The lessons of Munich have not been forgotten.
I explained that to my students. I said, look, things don't always turn out the way you'd like them, and you have to use adversity to your advantage. And I try and tell them that's what I think I've done, and you still overcome. You try to overcome it all your life.
Munich was catastrophic, tumultuous, whatever word you want to describe. To see this happen to us brought it home in a very real sense, and baffles me that this occurred in the Olympics.
Milwaukee leading the Soviets at halftime 67-36. You go back and reconstruct this game, Look at the second quarter. The Soviets scoring only 10 points. They've not been able to hit from outside. In fact, in the first half, they were 0 for 12 from three-point range. With us now, the commissioner of the NBA, David Stern. And David, this project has been, what, 2 years in the making to get the Soviets together with an NBA team?
That is correct. Initially, Boris Stankovic, the Secretary General of FIBA, proposed it about 2 years ago, but it took some delicate discussions with the Italians and with the Soviets, and we're very happy to see it happen.
What's the future? I've heard there might be rotating sites, and we may annually have this.
Well, Coach Gomelski, that was before the game today, made a very strong pitch for this to be held in Moscow, but the Italian teams would like to see it in either Milan or Rome, and we said let's wait and see how we do after the first one before we decide.
You know, this is really great for international basketball. It's really bringing together some people, isn't it?
Our players are a little bit too good right now, but it is great. It is terrific, and there's a whole other basketball world out there. There are 200 million people playing basketball. We just happen to have the 300 best here in the NBA.
Commissioner, there's some talk that the players from the NBA might be eligible and play in the Olympics in 1992. Your feelings about that?
Well, I think it's going to happen. I think that there's a special Congress scheduled in 1989 that will probably vote on it. I think it's a nice opportunity for fellows, regardless of whether they've accepted money or not to play, to be able to play for their country once in their careers.
Would you favor the NBA championship team, or would you favor an all-star team?
I think that we should allow whatever the federation is to select the team and leave it to the players and, in fact, the owners to see who would represent us. But that's for the international governing body to decide, not for the NBA.
Let me ask you something, Commissioner. There's a lot of adjustments being made between the international rules and the NBA rules. What have you seen in this first half? Have you come up with any kind of decisions that you could use in future games?
As a fan, I think that us not allowing the zone is still a good idea. I think that our three-point line is pretty good. We have plenty of players who can shoot 40% from it. I kind of like the out-of-bounds play. It keeps the defense on their toes and it speeds up the game. But we'll leave that to the competition committee.
It's kind of fun, though, isn't it? I felt the players, the Bucks in particular, felt this wasn't an ordinary game.
They were wearing their game faces. They're probably a lot more relaxed now. But last night and this morning, Del Harris and the Bucks were a little bit nervous.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
David Stern, we're at the halfway point. This is a historical game. The Soviets against the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks right now in a commanding position. We'll be back. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Jeep. There's a feeling you can get only in a Jeep. By American Airlines, something special in the air. And by the Polaroid Spectra system. Hold the picture in your hand. Let's go now to Cheryl Miller.
Thank you, Gary. I'm here with, you'd be surprised, the former commissioner of baseball, Bowie Kuhn. Now, Bowie, what are you doing here? Game 7's tonight. Why a basketball game?
Well, I was in Minnesota last night to root the Minnesota Twins into the 7th game, and I'm on my way back to New York, and the commissioner said, come on over and see this, and here I am, and I love the international play.
Now, what does a game like this do for international competition?
Oh, I think all of these things are very positive. I'm very enthusiastic about international play. I think it's, in general, very good, and also we just got the gold medal for baseball in 1992 at Barcelona. The Russians are now playing baseball, and some of these guys could be baseball players, I can tell you.
So would you like to see more international competition, not only in basketball, but baseball as well?
I do. I think you're going to see a lot of international growth in baseball with the gold medal, and the Russians will give, in 10 years' time, I suspect, a very good account of themselves, as they obviously do with this fine basketball team.
Thank you very much, Bowie. Back to you, Gary.
Thank you, Cheryl. Interesting story developed as we look at Del Harris. As you know, we had the time change last night. You fall back this particular time and spring forward in the spring.
Tell me about it.
The Soviets could not handle it. They did not know what to do. Gomelski didn't know you could add hours or take away, so he got his team up at 2 o'clock this morning to change their watches, to move them an hour back. He was that confused about the whole situation.
I was confused also, and so was Cheryl Miller, so he shouldn't feel bad.
Cheryl was here an hour early. We couldn't find her. She was here thinking it was the previous time rather than, of course, with the time we now have. Ready to go now. In the first half, Cummings and Reynolds led the Bucks in scoring with 13. Volkov had 9 for the USSR. And there's the steal, and we're picking up right where the Bucks left off in that first half. It's Cummings, Reynolds, Pressey, Breuer, and Sikma, the 5 that started the game. And Breuer makes makes it 69-36.
Milwaukee's really looking for some improved play out of Breuer. Last year he was non-existent. They need some really improved play out of him to be a real major factor in winning that Central Division.
USSR starting with their same 5. They now are 0 for 13 on three-point plays. Can you believe that? That is one of the faces of their game that's been so solid.
That facet of the game's really been shut down because of the tremendous defensive ability as Cummings hits the jump shot. The story of this game has not been the jump shooting ability of Milwaukee, but it's been right now what we see here, defensive pressure.
71-36. Sock, along with Tarakanov, Marciulionis, Kraskin, and Volkov, the 5 that started for Gomelski, back in now. And that one almost thrown away, and Cummings reaching around commits the foul.
Reynolds right now is matched up on Marciulionis, and I don't believe he can play number 7 Marciulionis, certainly not as well as Pressey played him.
So Tarakanov brings it back out now to Titsuk. Here's Marciulionis trying to penetrate. In trouble. A lot of traffic in there, and he's fouled.
Notice how he beat Reynolds with the first step. He really plays under control. He knows, he has an awareness for the game. As I was talking to Dave Gavitt earlier this week in preparing for this game, David coached the 1980 Olympic squad that never got a chance to compete in the Olympics. And he talked about Marciulionis and about the fact that he has creative ability. He has that innovative shake and bake kind of ability as opposed to being very erect like a lot of international players are who play up and down.
Boy, his shooting has deserted him, though. Sikma committing the foul is second. Marciulionis, as we mentioned, not able to hit outside and missing a free throw here, but he gets this one. Substitution now, and here's the guy you've been waiting on. Remus Courtenitis coming in, a 6'5½", 27-year-old. That's the name you worked on all week. You ready to try it?
Courtenitis is an absolutely long-range shooter. He's a fierce competitor. He's played for about a decade together in the backcourt also with, as you watch the move inside.
There is Reynolds, and we're going to have a loose ball foul. It's going to go against. They're going to give it to Jack Sikma. That'll be his foul as he's picked up now his third personal foul.
Courtenitis and Chomicius really have played together for about 10 years. They really know each other exceptionally well.
Here is Tarakanov, who's been very quiet in this game, and that's a nice rejection by Breuer. Volkov tries to put it in, and it kicks back outside to Titsuk. Volkov inside, always trying to penetrate inside. Rebound cleared by Pressey. Pressey back to Breuer. That's a tough play. The trailer. Breuer trying to halt and get that shot underway. Reynolds has it blocked, but Kraskin has committed the foul.
Milwaukee has too many active bodies right now, Gary. Too many quick athletes. They're a little bit stronger. You know, you look at a matchup like this, and it's a blowout right now, score-wise, and you probably sit there and you say, what would the Soviet team learn from an outing of this nature? Number one, I think they have to improve a little bit more in terms of their offensive ball movement. They have to be able to get better shot selection, especially against a team that's going to apply the kind of pressure. One ingredient, that team will never quit. You can guarantee that.
Tarakanov, you just saw a moment ago coming into the ball game. We're talking about Tarakanov. He hasn't even scored in this ball game, which is very unusual. Shows you the difficulty he's had.
Well, he's a stationary jump shooter as well, and if he doesn't move well, the other facet of the game that I think they have to work a great deal on, screening and moving without the ball as opposed to just stationary basketball. See, there's what they like to play. That's their game.
That's Tarakanov, who just came in and hit it. And here is Cummings, and he converts at the other end. Is that impressive?
Can you imagine a forward combination in college? Mark McGuire, the big horse, the wide body from down at Dallas, and Terry Cummings.
Coached by one of the fine gentlemen of all time, Ray Meyer. There's the shot rebounded by Sikma. Kraskin having a tough time keeping up with Sikma as they convert from end to end. And it goes to Breuer. He got there late defensively, and Breuer took advantage of it.
Good unselfish play. Breuer gets the score, but it was the good entry inside that made the score happen. You mentioned Ray Meyer, certainly one of the all-time super individuals in the game of basketball.
Here's Volkov, double team. Tarakanov, who hit one earlier, tries to follow, and Kraskin surprises you once in a while.
Kraskin, I think, surprised himself, Victor, right there.
Cummings. That basket would have counted had it gone, but he's fouled. Right now, he looks like he's on a mission out there, doesn't he?
He plays very hard. I love the way his body, I mean, look at the shoulders. As we look right now, some substitutions. Kraskin going to the sideline. certainly not really able to play at this level on the interior.
Well, they're missing, as we talked about earlier, 7-footer Alexander Belastani. So now Goborov comes in, who's really their third pivot. 20 years of age, he's had to play more due to the injury to Belastani.
In talking to Bill Wall, the executive director of the Amateur Basketball Association of the USA, as we look at Belastani sitting there in his warm-up suit, certainly couldn't get any PT playing time today.
He got hurt in about the first 2 minutes of the game the other night.
But talking to Bill Wall, he feels this club's a little stronger than last year's team that came here and toured the United States because of a depth factor. They have 12 players, and last year they only had 8. So I'm telling you one thing, those kids on a collegiate level better lock it up and better really come to play when you're talking Kentucky, Indiana, because this score here can be misleading. We're talking NBA players.
79-41, Kurtinitis now coming up the floor. 19 points now for Terry Cummings in this game. He had 18 against that team from Milan.
For the Soviet Nationals, number 14, Alexander Ohutnikov.
Now we have a man who's been added to our roster. All those pronunciations we worked on, and they snuck one in on us, number 14.
Yeah, I'll call him number 14. You handle the name.
Ohutnikov is his name, Alexander Ohutnikov, and they shouldn't have done this to us. We have worked hard all week, and they slipped a new guy from the Soviet Union in, and that's Goborov, having it rejected by Sikma. After the injury to Belastani.
Oh, little dancing time, show time. He loves that. Jerry Reynolds has got a lot of flair, a lot of charisma to his game. But I'll tell you one thing, he can make Del Harris, that silver hair, disappear with some of his decisions offensively.
Well, that can use him, though, very, very well when they get guys like Lucas and Hodges back. Use his abilities in certain spots.
Well, he can be very versatile also. Reynolds can be a versatile performer who can be a positive player here.
Tarakanov at that time is fouled by Randy Breuer. Let's look at it.
There's the drive to the goal. Tarakanov takes it to the goal. He gets bounced. Goes down to the deck. Sikma a little bit late, rotating over, trying to get the charge. There's Randy Breuer, number 45.
Well, Randy Breuer trying to muscle up. He's trying to gain some weight. He weighed 220 at Minnesota, now up to about 260 as you see Chomicius come back in.
They say that Reynolds and also Breuer were a little intimidated with the screaming and the yelling and the ranting and raving of Don Nelson. But I'm going to tell you something. Nelson, one of the great coaches in the NBA, and my opinion, he belongs on a sideline somewhere. I don't see Don Nelson, for example, sitting in an office. He's a guy that belongs X and O and screaming on that sideline. I'm going to miss looking at those shoes that he used to wear and also the fish net ties.
Well, he's a vice president, part owner now at Golden State. As Breuer tries to follow, Sikma chases it down. 8 minutes to go in this third quarter. Del Harris up. He thought there should have been a foul on that particular play. Cummings got a mismatch. Rebound by Sikma. This time he is fouled. And it'll go against the new man who just checked into the ball game, Ohutnikov. Alexander Ohutnikov.
His first.
Sikma has really come into camp in great shape. He's really playing well for this early in the season.
Pressey will bring it in. Beautiful pass to Reynolds.
Great screen, no communication defensively, and they get the layup on a little cut and a backdoor move.
I'm really surprised by how badly they're beating USSR. We thought maybe 15 points, but they have dispatched them.
You thought 15. I kept telling you a bigger route. Give me credit on that now.
I guess it was another person that said that. Here's Walters.
I'm really not surprised, guys.
There's Sikma, able to come up with it. Pressey, the up-tempo game, really suiting the Bucks well. As Cummings now with 21 points.
It's blowout city. It's stat time right now. You can name the score. See, they're really playing defense on those guards.
Yep. There's Reynolds and Pressey double-teaming Walters.
He's got to get a timeout or he'll just need a computer to keep score. Alexander Gomelski, he just wants the clock to run now.
Speaking of the clock, just inside 7 minutes to go in the third quarter. Goborov and the 20-year-old able to hit it. Goborov's got a classic look to it, doesn't he?
He does. He has the look that he's so intense.
And that's going to be a foul on Chomicius, reaching in on Sikma.
Alexander Gomelski, as we look at him sitting on the sideline, the coach of the Soviet national team, He firmly believes that they shouldn't allow the pro athletes to play, and I don't blame him, because if they did, they'd just be playing for silver. It'll be gold here every year.
I'll guarantee you today is certainly going to substantiate his belief even more. He's having a long afternoon. In overtime, the Bills defeat the Dolphins 34-31. Right now, the USSR kind of regrouping over there. We talked to David Stern as you look now at Houston. Houston's been a little surprising, 37-33 over the Falcons. We talked to David Stern at halftime about the pros coming into the NBA. Gomelski doesn't feel that it would be fair, and some further thoughts on that from you, Dick.
Gary, I really believe we have to redefine the term amateurism. I'm a traditionalist and would like to see the purist view the way he talked about in terms of having all amateurs play. But when an Oscar Schmidt gets 39 against the United States in the Pan American Games and he plays for $250,000 a year in Italy, then I say we have to redefine amateurism, and if we have pros playing, guys that are paid, then the United States should be allowed to use the Magic Johnsons, the Isaiah Thomases, and the Michael Jordans of the basketball world. And I know Bill Wall is totally opposed to that, the executive director of the ABA USA, because he doesn't want the kind of humiliation and embarrassment that we're seeing out here today. But I think we got to redefine amateurism.
There's Pressey bringing it back out. They'll reset it. Of course, this USSR team lost in the World Games to the United States Collegians. That was in Madrid, Spain. They lost 87-85. That was a very close game.
Lute Olson did a great job, but a better job was even done by David Robinson on Sabonis, and little Tyrone Muggsy Bogues played well, and so did Kenny Smith.
Walters tries the shot. Cummings brings it down. Off to Pressey. All by himself is Reynolds.
It's route time. Great transition basketball. Possession with the rebound. I'll outlet it to get the numbers and rotate someone for the layup.
I think something needs to be said here is that maybe the USSR isn't the biggest threat. You got to talk about the Yugoslavians now, the Brazilians.
Yugoslavia has really improved tremendously. In fact, Larry Brown said that in a world universe... I'll get to that here. They're just running up and down the court right now. He said in the Junior World Games he was really impressed with the Yugoslavian young players as they won the gold medal, beating a USA team with Dwayne Chomicius and Stevie Thompson and Lionel Simmons and Brian Williams.
That foul going off Tarakanov, but I believe that Reynolds ran into Cummings. That was the big blow, even though Tarakanov picked up the foul. And now Gomelski is going to make 3 changes. Going to bring in his starting backcourt tandem. Marciulionis along with Salk, and then also Volkov will come back in.
In the Junior World Games, the Soviet Union finished 7th.
That's my point. I think that you have to look at it that maybe the threat is coming elsewhere. Sabonis, they may not get him back.
Spain is also very good. Italy is really improving. In fact, when I interviewed and I talked to Alexander Gomelski, he was very honest about that, saying we're not developing good young players on the level that they're doing now elsewhere.
Louis Kuhn is talking about it getting into baseball, and I saw some of their workouts. They've got a long ways to go to compete in the baseball. You just don't learn the skills overnight. And here is Walters missing badly. Sikma saves it off to Pressey. Reynolds off to Cummings.
Reynolds trying to finalize the play. The one question mark the coaches have about Jerry Reynolds is if he can finalize.
Chomicius able to hit that one, and that was a 3-pointer. They're finally able to find the range. Here is Sikma.
It's playground basketball now. Just run up and down the floor. Chomicius shot that stationary jumper, number 13. He's a good long-range shooter.
This continues. We may have an international incident. Right now, the USSR seeing why the Milwaukee Bucks through the years have been such a solid franchise. They've had 7 consecutive 50-plus win seasons. Here's Randy Breuer.
Randy Breuer inside with the big hook shot. Not the sky hook, a la Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
The Bucks have been in the playoffs 8 straight years. Second best record of basketball, only to the Celtics. Goborov driving. The basket will count, and he's fouled. So now Mokeski will come in, and the trio we were talking about earlier will come in for Gomelski.
Milwaukee also has great fan support, tremendous fan support. But when you look at this job right now, Del Harris, to me, is one of 2 coaches that has to get out of the gate in a positive way, because number one, psychologically, as we look at Del Harris, he has to win these players over, and they're going to have to get a good start for them to believe in his philosophy. Also, Dave Wall with the New Jersey Nets. I really believe if they don't get out of the gate quickly, he can really go to the exit sign, because I really believe with guys out there like Dick Motta and Hubie Brown, you might see a coaching change after 20 or 25 games in New Jersey if Wall doesn't get him to the winner's circle.
Mokeski can't hang on. Del Harris, of course, taking the Houston Rockets in 1981 to the championship final against the Boston Celtics. 3 years as scout with the Bucks, and last year Don Nelson's chief assistant. So he has had good experience in the NBA. This team, though, maybe the toughest division in basketball, the Central Division, as Goborov now has hit a couple from outside.
Well, he's getting wide-open shots. They're a very good wide-open shooting basketball team. But with pressure in their face, like we saw in the first 3 quarters, they couldn't do the things that they normally do.
Mokeski posting up inside. Volkov broke it up, however. Marciulionis inside on Cummings. Chomicius tried to do it, and Breuer got a piece of it.
Thought they might have missed a goaltending right there. That was not playing with the ball on a cylinder.
Mokeski, Reynolds, and Volkov commits the foul.
Reynolds is really taking advantage of the playing time that he's getting. Ricky Pierce, as we talked about earlier, certainly not here, issued a threat, simply said, trade me if you don't want to give me a new contract. His agent's talking 700, 900,000. I can't even imagine those numbers, Gary. I know you can, but I can't.
Get out of here.
This is Soviets with 21 turnovers, but basically, he has a 3-year deal for $250,000 a year, and I just feel, and I like Ricky Pierce. He's a great plus to this team. I think ultimately they would take care of him if he got in here. Hey, you don't want to threaten the people, because when you threaten them, they're getting a little upset. They're going to play a little hardball.
Well, I tell you what, those ultimatums don't set very well. That's 23 points for Reynolds. And I think even more interestingly, they're having to wait on the Pierce situation before they can sign Lucas and Hodges because of the salary cap problem.
Right, they've reached an agreement. There's Chomicius right now. They've reached an agreement already with Lucas and with Hodges, but they have not signed them. We've heard from reliable people because they're trying to keep it open for maneuverability with the salary cap.
And so Lucas, who really created some open floor activity, they'll like to have him back, and Hodges, one of the best three-point shooters in basketball.
Mokeski again, another play inside by Big Paul.
101 to 54. They're already over the century mark, and we have 2:42 left in the third quarter.
You mentioned Lucas. Also, Bob Ryan, who I really love reading his works for the Boston Globe. He talked about how this team was transformed into a running game as soon as Lucas arrived.
I'm here with Boris Stankovic, who is the Secretary General for FIBA. Boris, for those who aren't aware of what FIBA is, tell us a little bit about FIBA and exactly what you do.
You know, this tournament is our first experiment that we had in history to approach the FIBA so-called amateur basketball to professional basketball. Our future depends very much on this tournament and the result, and we must make the analysis technical and financial, but we need to play against professionals, because only playing against the better than we are, we can improve.
Now, are you a little disappointed in the way the score is? I mean, the Soviet team is getting blown out here.
The score is really disappointing, but you know, next time instead to have 50 points, the difference will be 40, and then 30, and then 20, and then at the end we will play maybe even. I don't know, but that is the goal. That is a technical goal.
Well, thank you very much, Boris. Back to you, Gary.
Okay, Cheryl, thank you very much. One thing we should mention, we've had a change in the officials. Ed Rush has come in for Daryl Garrettson. I understand Daryl wasn't feeling well, so Ed, who was here as one of the 2 sets of officials, now has come in to finish this game. Here is Goborov kicking off the corner. Chomicius, and Goborov keeps it alive out to Marciulionis. I guess of all the surprises I have is that Marciulionis has not scored more and been more effective today.
Not to me because of Paul Pressey's presence. I think anybody that knows Pressey, Gary, exceptionally well, as we look at Ed Rush now with the basketball, one of the NBA fine officials, Pressey's such a dominant defensive player, and I personally think his pride. Remember I told you before the game started that Pressey was really ready to play? I think he read all the clips that appeared all week long about Marciulionis, and he came out here like he was checking the Magic Man. And he says, Marciulionis, I'm going to tell you something. I checked the Magic Man. I checked Jordan. I'm not going to let you show me up in my living room.
I tell you, he came through. Excellent job. We have a change now for Milwaukee. Keith Smith, number 11, has checked in. He's a second-year man from Loyola Marymount. As Cummings tries the shot, Goborov brings it down, and he's fouled on to break up the floor.
Keith Smith played in the backcourt at Loyola Marymount for Paul Westhead, the former NBA coach, who has quite a cast right now at Loyola Marymount. A bunch of transfers and should be a really good basketball team.
Substitution now. Kryshaev coming in. Kryshaev, I should say, has come in. Number 6. There's Smith, the man we were talking about. He is a 6'3", second-year man. He was a second-round pick last year. Also coming in again will be Stroeder, as Breuer has fouled out of the ball game. So Breuer sits down with 1:45 to go in the third quarter, 103 to 58. The Bucks leading the Soviets. Goborov getting a lot of experience in this game, and I think has been much more impressive than he was against the team from Milan.
He's a kid, as I talked about earlier, who has a lot of potential.
Goborov now with 15 points in the game. Here's Stroeder, his check back in. Smith, a very good defensive player. And he tried to backdoor to Mokeski, and Volkov comes up with it. Volkov, Breuer, Stroeder brings it back out.
Nice bounce pass by Volkov, getting the ball to Breuer.
And Reynolds is kind of hammered as he goes inside, and he's fouled. Let's get back to talking some basketball. We talked about the NBA. What about the colleges this year? Dick, I know you have a magazine out. You're picking who's going to win it all, and how have you ranked them thus far?
Well, thanks a lot for plugging the Dick Vitale basketball.
I knew if I didn't, I was in trouble.
Well, I gave you one for nothing. You didn't help me out by buying one. But basically right now, Gary, nobody wants to be number one. Everybody says, well, we're not good enough. You talk to Eddie Sutton, I did this week. He said, heck, we're not number one. You talk to Bill Frieder. He says, Vitale, you're wacky. Basically, I go Michigan, Kentucky, the Hoosiers of Indiana with Syracuse and Pittsburgh. December 5th is going to be quite a day. Doubleheader on ABC. When we have the Hoosiers versus Kentucky and Notre Dame, the courageous little one, David Rivers against Purvis Ellison and Louisville. What a doubleheader.
That should be, what, 60,000 for that one?
Well, I don't know how many tickets they'll sell, but I guess they can sell as many as they so desire. But I know one thing. I can't wait to sit at courtside and watch Eddie Sutton go head-to-head with the General Robert Montgomery Knight.
Robert Montgomery. At the line is Volkov. Volkov takes the free throw, and it's now 104 to 61. 1:12 to go in the third quarter. Gomelski up now, yelling some instructions out. Gomelski, a classic-looking guy. He's had 5 Soviet teams in the Olympics. We said he's watched TV from the United States, watched the basketball since '56. Very innovative guy, and they love him in the USSR.
He really thinks the world of Bobby Knight and his style of play, and also Red Auerbach.
They're starting to wave here, and the other night, the Soviet players in watching the game, some of them got involved in the wave. They thought that was something unusual. Volkov on the move, and we're going to have a loose ball foul.
Crowd is getting a little bit loud, having a lot of fun out here right now. Alexander Gomelski is trying to experiment with some trapping defenses right now. They'll be a much tougher team when they hook up with Bob Donewall's Illinois State team. And then they start moving on, playing teams like North Carolina and Kentucky and Nevada, Las Vegas, and Indiana.
So Stroeder goes to the line, and if you're wondering what that is, that's the wave in the background. Kind of a festive attitude here in the Milwaukee Arena, which is the last year the Bucks will play here. They're going to be moving next door, adjacent to the Bradley Center.
We're in a hole over 18,000, and it's supposed to be an absolutely plush building.
Goborov scores. Stroeder makes the foul, and Goborov has been a bright light for this USSR team in this third quarter.
If there's something positive that he can get out of this game is the fact that Goborov basically has shown some potential, but also he'll get out the fact that there's a long way for us to go before we can compete with the best in the world.
He has 18 points in the game. Winding down this third quarter, 105 to 65, the Bucks. Here is Smith. Marciulionis trying to reach in from behind to come up with a steal. 10 seconds on the shot clock. 10 for Cummings, and Goborov got it. Soft. Marciulionis. Off to Kryshaev. Can't get it. Bodies hit the floor. No harm, no foul.
Right now they're going to look for a good shot. They're going to, with a big lead, he's trying to just get a little discipline out of his club right now. He's trying to go one-on-one with Reynolds right here. There's a trap.
5 seconds, you see it on the screen. Smith at the buzzer. And the third quarter has come to a close. The Bucks lead at 105 to 65. We'll return with more of the McDonald's Basketball Open after this message and a word from our local station. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by AT&T, the right choice. By Allstate, for home, auto, and life insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate. And by Converse, new Cons basketball shoes from Converse, the official shoe of the NBA. 12 minutes to go. It's been a long afternoon for the USSR, but Del Harris, who I felt was a little pensive yesterday, a little bit on edge. I think a lot of it was kind of around the Ricky Pierce possibility, but must be feeling a little bit better about this team right now.
Del Harris is a fine teacher. He did a good job. Look at that move by Volkov. When he was with Houston, they went to the finals in '81, and then Moses Malone went bye-bye for the cash register and went to Philadelphia, and they went 14 and 68, and he lost his job. Oh, there's a foul.
Look out. Ooh, Marciulionis. That could have been very dangerous as he went crashing in, out of control. Very physical as they start this fourth quarter, and the USSR banging the ball hard on that last break down the floor. Watch this.
Too bad that people didn't really get a chance to see the real Marciulionis. I mean, he is absolutely a dominant player. We watched him take the game over yesterday against Tracy Milan, number 7 here. Had a great time of his life when he got here to work out with the Atlanta Hawks and play in L.A. All he kept saying to me when I was talking to him, Dominique. He loves you, Dominique Wilkins.
That was a technical, so they shot 2 on there. The foul was on Keith Smith.
Deliberate foul. I thought he shoved it.
Here is now Smith bringing it up the floor. 105-69 is our count. Marciulionis tried to give him some difficulty in the backcourt. Pace Manning now is checked back in, and he is fouled as he ducks inside.
It's going to be interesting when Del Harris sits down and looks at the numbers to try and decide who makes this roster. When you think of the number of good guards that might be cut loose as we look at Del, we talked about 14 and 68. Heck, you could have put John Thompson, Dean Smith, and the general Bob Knight on the sideline, and they couldn't win with his team at Houston in '83. That was a no-no.
Keith Schott committed that last foul. Mokeski shooting from outside, 107-69. Here's Marciulionis trying to take Smith inside. A lot of body banging as he goes in. Smith commits another foul.
Don Chaney really compares Marciulionis to a young Gail Goodrich. And we remember Gail Goodrich winning that first national championship for the father of college basketball, John Wooden, in 1964, Gary. And he has a lot of similarities in his game. And Don Chaney was a victim of a situation where he had no chance to win, none whatsoever with the L.A. Clippers.
Going back to that two-shot foul a while ago, that was a breakaway foul, the NBA rule that they're implementing this game. That's the reason they gave Marciulionis the 2 free throws, and the foul, of course, going against Smith, who just committed another one a moment ago. So we're up to date on that.
In the NBA, if you break away for a layup and you hit the guy, stop him from the breakaway, it's an automatic 2-shot foul.
There's such a mixture of rules in this game between the international and the NBA. And there is Pace Mannion.
He's a survivor. Mannion finds a way to get on a roster.
Well, he doesn't make mistakes, and that's one thing that really will jump out at a coach. So he figures to make this club. Here is Mokeski with the steal. 10.5 minutes to go in the game. Smith, baseline, Stroeder. Stroeder out to Davis. And Marciulionis bats it out of bounds.
Davis, as we talked about earlier, played in Italy. See how they take the ball in bounds really quick? The commissioner, Dave Stern, likes that rule, and so do I.
Davis had actually touched. There's a 3-point attempt. Goborov not going. Mokeski able to keep it out and keeps it out to Davis. Charles Davis, 6-year man at 6'7".
At Vanderbilt, he said, Dick, watch out for Will Perdue at Vanderbilt, 6'11". He said, I played with him this summer, and he has really improved.
Boy, it is tough inside. We're going to have a jump ball between Volkov and Mokeski. Tinkanenko is going to come back in. And a guy we haven't seen a lot of, Pressey.
Pressey's a very aggressive player. Tinkanenko is a tremendous shooter, and Tinkanenko's been absolutely no way. He hasn't been fouled. Look how tough they're inside. I mean, they're pushing, they're shoving.
So we're going to come back with a hell ball, a jump ball with 9:57 to go. The Bucks 109-70.
Ricky Brown is a former NBA player now playing for the Tracer Milan team in Italy. Now, Ricky, looking at the score, do you expect the game to be a blowout?
Well, actually, I did. I'm sure a lot of people thought so, too, because the Bucks are a really strong team on defense. They're one of the premier teams in the league as far as defense goes. And that's how they build such a big lead. They really press this team really well full court. And that's one of the reasons why they have the lead where they do.
Now, Ricky, you got the chance to play in the NBA, now internationally. What are some of the differences?
Well, the main difference to me is the rules and the way the referees call the game. That makes such a big difference, you know, for me playing here and playing in Italy. The referees make such a big difference. You know, it's like they make the rules so a little different in Italy, and that's a big factor in how much different it is from NBA and the league here.
Thank you very much, Ricky. Back to you, Gary.
Ricky Brown and Bob McAdoo are on that Tracer Milan team.
I think Ricky forgot one other difference.
What's that?
No Magic Johnsons, Michael Jordans, Isaiah Thomases.
And tax-free money, right?
I love those three players. I'll tell you, what a team. Look at this draw.
Volkov not quit. They have just gotten more intense as it's gone along, even though it's obviously over. Here is Pace Mannion from the corner. Davis with a rebound, inside Stroeder, and he gets another one. He seems to always be open inside.
John Stroeder fighting for survival, hoping to get on his first roster in the NBA, was drafted by Portland when he came out of college, played for Jim Brandenburg, now at San Diego State up at Montana. Also played with Michael Ray Richardson, one of the real tragedies in the NBA. Sad story, Michael Ray.
You're talking about college ball. Who are going to be some of the impact freshmen, Dick, that'll be coming in as we now see Goborov coming in and Pressey checking out?
You put me on the spot, but since we're filling right now, trying to keep the people excited, I got so many goodies to pour on them. I really like Brian Williams down in Maryland, a 6'11" shot blocker. His daddy sang with the Platters.
We'll see him on ABC. Maryland's playing at LSU December 12th. We'll be doing that one.
That'll be an interesting game with the preacher man, Mr. Dale Brown, down there on the sideline. Also, I like LaRon Ellis up at Kentucky with Eric Manuel, and Shakin' Bacon Mark Macon, who'll be on ABC also when they hook up with the Model Las Vegas.
What was their name again?
Shakin' Bacon Mark Macon, and King Rice down at North Carolina on the solid one. He's playing with J.R. Reed, but I found a new wide body. My old wide body, Kirby Puckett. I mean, he makes J.R. Reed go to my third team.
I don't think Kirby's tall enough to play this game, though, huh?
He's got a wide body.
Follow inside. Tikhonenko, who has not been a factor in this game, his first 2 points.
I heard all about Tikhonenko's ability to shoot that perimeter jump shot, and I just have not seen it.
It's a non-existent. Here's Stroeder inside, and he is fouled. It'll be Volkov with a foul. And now we're going to see the top draft pick of the year for the Bucks, the second-round pick, Bob McCann, number 23, checking in out of Morehead State.
They list him in I see some articles where he's listed at 6'9", Gary. He's no bigger than 6'6 and a half, maybe 6'7". He's a good jumper, but he's going to have a problem with his size playing the power forward position. And number two, I don't believe he can play the small forward position because of quickness, but he's got good legs, and he's a strong player. He played really well during the summer, but did not play well in the Hawaii All-Star game.
Of course, Morehead State, that's Phil Simms' school.
He also went to Uppsala.
Backdoor Volkov, and he is fouled.
Uppsala in New Jersey, formerly coached by Richie Adubato, now on the staff down in Dallas, along with John McLeod.
Stroeder with the foul. You know, interesting left. They're trying a lot of those alley-oop passes, trying to go back door. You cannot do that in international rules, so they are trying to adjust the Soviets.
Internationally, you must catch the ball, come down, and then take it up. And I really believe that was put in to try and sort of stop some of the great leapers that exist in the United States. Again, that's one of my prejudicial views.
Here's Davis. Marciulionis able to impede his progress. 8:19 left to go. 114-74 in favor of the Bucks. Volkov still playing hard, as this guy is, Goborov. Here's Pete Sock.
Volkov's an intense competitor, number 4.
There's that shot that Tikhonenko's known to be able to hit. Not this time. Look at this hustle. Oh, look out. That had to hurt.
We talked about the fact that these guys would have no quit in them, and you saw that right there. And they love it here. They give them a hand. These fans are knowledgeable. Marciulionis going into the sideline, number 7.
Yeah, he moved that back a couple of feet, didn't he? Strong kid, tough kid, Marciulionis. Up to Goborov.
Goborov really looking impressive in transition.
They may have found the guy to play that pivot spot until Arvydas Sabonis can get back
and that's not sure he'll ever come back. Here's Manny into Stroeder. Look at Goborov bang inside, and that's going to go off of the Bucks. Sabonis, there's a lot of stories how he got hurt. There's been talk he fell down a flight of stairs and hurt the Achilles tendon. There's talk he's hurt the other Achilles tendon, and he's at about 20% right now, and that's going to be hard to get back in time for Seoul.
We've been told that he's torn one, I guess, Achilles tendon twice, and the other one once, and has had 2 operations.
Substitution, Winston Garland, number 5, comes back into the game. The fresh, should say, rookie out of Southwest Missouri State.
Also, I don't want people to just know that Mr. Gomelski loves Bobby Knight. He loved Red Auerbach. He couldn't say enough about the father of the NBA in coaching, Arnold Red Auerbach.
Inside, trying to come up with it was Davis. It's going to be his ball. The Bucks will bring it in. 7:14 left to go. Well, the first meeting ever between the NBA and the Soviet national team, and obviously it's been a long day for the Soviets. They'll try to go to school, I'm sure, on this game, but the Bucks have really come in here and demolished the Soviet team.
They took this game with a tremendous amount of pride. You and I saw that at practice. They were very intense at practice. There's the drive by Garland. He draws the contact, number 5, Southwest Missouri State. They were a Cinderella story. Played really excellent basketball all year long, and they beat out Cleveland State, Kevin Mackey's team. A lot of people think this year might be a surprise basketball game.
Kashayev was checked in, number 8. He's from Leningrad, 26 years of age. He toured the States last fall, so a lot of these guys have been here 5, 6 times coming to the States.
They were 8 and 6 on that tour they took last year. They won some big games and then lost some along the way, but very competitive basketball, and they'll play very competitive against the top American colleges along their tour that starts with Illinois State.
Tinkenenko out to Chomicius. Still good ball movement, 3-point attempt. Boy, it's just not there today. Here is Garland out to Stroeder. Looks like it'll be a 3-point attempt. Went inside to Davis, kicked out, it'll be the Bucks ball.
The NBA is experimenting with the line that's being utilized here in the CBA, 22 feet. Thinking about moving it up slightly from their current 23-9, which is really a downtown bomber. Even you would have a tough time shooting that.
The Bucks 116, the Soviets 76. Never been in doubt since early in this game. Milwaukee playing extremely well. The Soviets finding out how tough it is. The life of the NBA. Look at the field goals.
Well, they found out defensively, Gary, that really they locked up that 3-point shot early. They shut down the 3-point play, which was devastating to the Italy team yesterday. It was, as you said earlier, non-existent, and that's been a major story right out of the gate.
Well, one thing we should mention, we were saying this at the top of the broadcast, the first place money is $50,000, and the Bucks are going to donate their share of the prize money to 2 charities, the Midwest Athletes Against Childhood Cancer and the Ronald McDonald Children's Charities. And what 2 outstanding charities here in the Milwaukee area. And John McLaughlin, the former Milwaukee Bucks standout, is the chairman of the Midwest Athletes Against Childhood Cancer.
John McLaughlin, also along with former, I guess, Bucks play-by-play guy Eddie Doucette, started that years ago. And as you stated, I think it's very obvious, just a great, great charity, both of them.
So $50,000 goes to the winner, $30,000 to the runner-up, and Milan, who finished third, got $20,000. J.J. Weber, a former Wisconsin standout, getting ready to come into the game. That's what that chair is for. Chomicius hits the shot outside.
Chomicius shoots the 3-point shot, the home run.
Here's McCann, the rookie, trying to make this roster, the 12-man roster. Doesn't get that one to go. Good second effort. Doesn't get it again. And Tinkenenko will get it. Now becomes a Volkov. I think they cleared out. They saw him headed down the middle on that one.
He just constantly wants to take the ball to the goal. Always going to the basket. Number 4, Alexander Volkov.
Discretionary move that time by Winston Garland. 117-81.
Ace
Mannion with the basket.
He ran a great backdoor cut, little interior pass.
He really sees the floor well, doesn't he?
Excellent 2-man basketball.
Chomicius kicks it off to Tinkenenko. Stroeder in his face. Tinkenenko can't get it. And it'll be saved by Chomicius. They're still hustling, aren't they?
They're very tenacious. Very tenacious.
Pressey, rebound, McCann. Base Manning will set up a three-pointer. By the way, if they foul you on a three-pointer, you get 3 shots.
Yeah, in this game here you do. Certainly not in the NBA.
Well, they're getting ready for J.J. Weber. He's sitting on the far side. He was the leading scorer and rebounder for Steve Yoder's team at Wisconsin last year.
I had the pleasure of calling a game against Indiana when it went into triple overtime, and he played brilliantly along with Mike Heineman in an outstanding college basketball game won by the Hoosiers.
Well, he grew up in this area. He went to Kettle Moraine. There's Chomicius hitting now. He's hit 2 in a row out there.
Well, he looks on the sideline and he sees Paul Pressey sitting on the sideline and Reynolds and that whole gang. And now you can't allow them to shoot that open shot.
Well, Del Harris didn't like that, and he called a timeout. 4:45 as you see J.J. Weber, 6'7", a rookie, trying to make this Milwaukee Bucks club. 119-84. It's the Bucks all the way. You wonder, Dick, how Alexander Gomelski got started coaching basketball. What influenced him over there to be that interested in the game?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. He made a great study of the game. He studied our great coaches here as you look at him sitting on that sideline. And a lot of people didn't think he would survive in coaching after 1980 when they lost in the Olympics at home. They finished in 3rd place, and the games were in Moscow. And a lot of people didn't think he would come back, but he's made a comeback, and he's back running their teams again.
Substitutions now coming into the ball game. Dudley Bradley for the first time. There's Bradley. Also Jerome Batiste, number 31's in.
Batiste played over at McNeese State University where they got a kid, remember this name, Anthony Poulard, 6'9", and he can play.
Marciulionis, I don't think he's hit a three-pointer all day. He tried to hit that one inside. Pressey is fouled.
Some people are going to pay for Marciulionis' performance here. Believe me, he's one of those guys capable of putting 30 and 35 on a board.
Just hasn't happened today. Pressey going to the line.
Sergei Pressey at the line.
Pressey has not scored in this game. 121-84. Another issue I want to bring up. I know you're waiting to pounce on this one. Who could be some of the surprise teams in college basketball?
Austin Peay can really be outstanding. Would have that great chant, "Let's go Peay." I had the pleasure of speaking at their banquet. They really are unbelievable.
That.
And Kansas would have a great chant, "Rock, Chalk, Jayhawk."
Well, that's a legitimate one.
No, they're not a surprise. They're going to be certainly in the top 5 in everybody's poll. Maryland certainly could be a surprise with Bob Wade, with Rudy Archer, and Brian Williams. There's a layup by Chomicius. You can be on the spot while the action's going on.
Go ahead, you're doing it all.
Well, you got to talk. Watch George Raveling in the University of Southern Cal. They're certainly not going to be in the top 20, but they're going to cause some problems. He's got some really new quality players, and George knows how to recruit and put a program together. Xavier, Peter Gillen's team with Byron Larkin could certainly be an outstanding basketball team.
I want to remind everybody, ABC's World News Sunday will be coming up immediately in some parts of the country. Some of you will see it following your local news. 3:26 left to go in the game. 121-87. The score has really been of no consequence since early. As they're winding it down here, a reminder, of course, Game 7 from the World Series. They'll have the Homer Hankies out in the Metrodome as the Twins and Cardinals have decided. Starting 8 o'clock Eastern. A lot of activity then coming on Monday night because we'll have 2 games coming your way. We'll have Cleveland and Los Angeles to most of the country, and then Minnesota and Denver to the St. Paul and Minneapolis area and Denver areas. They had to move their game because of Game 7 to a Monday night.
I'll tell you, you deserve some award as they get a little layup inside. Chomicius scores. Going out from here into the losers' locker room tonight, and then tomorrow calling the NFL action. Football, basketball, and baseball. You're a 3-sport star.
I tell you, Dick, I got to keep up with you. There's a foul on Volkov inside.
I'm one-dimensional. I have a tough enough time with basketball, some people tell me.
Well, you're an author now. You're a guest speaker. You're an entertainer. You're a broadcaster. So you're more than one-dimensional. I know you spoke at McNeese State because you told me about that.
I had a great time down there also.
Here's J.J. Weber, and of course the fans here wanting him to score.
They're in such a tough conference, the toughest basketball conference. When you talk the Big Ten, the Big East, the ACC, the SEC, and now the Big 8, those certainly are the 5. But the Big Ten could have 5 teams possibly in the top 12 in America with Michigan, Indiana, Purdue, Iowa, and Illinois.
Rejected nicely in that side. Out it comes to Jerome Batiste. Less than 3 minutes to go in the game.
There's a diagonal pass. Good look over the top of the defense. A layup. Excellent diagonal pass for the layup.
Bob McCann. Their first pick in the second round, a steal by Dudley Bradley. Hit by Garland, not going to drop. And we're going to have a...
Sacará de bando el equipo soviético. Cuando hay un nuevo tempo morto, ahí vemos o Milwaukee Arena, o a cancha do equipo de Wisconsin, 124-90, 34 puntos de diferencia favorables ao equipo profesional americano. Por la impresión que da a cancha, parece que el público norteamericano que sí tomó con interés este torneo, ¿no? por la cantidad de gente que hay.
El baloncesto es un espectáculo. La gente quiere ver, dónde está el baloncesto europeo también. Seguramente la prensa ha hecho un buen publicidad por este torneo, que es un primero, y seguramente es un inicio, un principio de más torneos, internacional.
Antonio, ¿tú crees que estos torneos tendrán continuidad?
Yo creo que sí, pero de todas maneras no sé si buscarán un poquito más igualdad, si es que pueden buscarla. De todas maneras, no creo que vayan muchos equipos a Estados Unidos a pasar, a lo mejor, no digo un ridículo, pero saber que le van a poner en su sitio los equipos estos americanos.
Una cosa también es la situación de Tracer de Milán, que una liga italiana, si no recordamos mal, está de sexto, con tres partidos tan solo ganados, y con un equipo con una plantilla que para aguantar un ritmo de cuatro tempos, jugadores como Macadú, 37 años, Medellín, 37 o 38, D'Antoni, para aguantar un ritmo frente a un equipo profesional, por ejemplo, un equipo como Tracer, es bastante difícil, ¿no?
Sí, claro. El equipo de Tracer, hace 2 o 3 años podía hacer un papel quizá un poco más. Faltaba D'Antoni. D'Antoni estaba mal antes de este torneo. Sí. También cambiaba el americano. Es ahora un Ricky Brown que es mucho más tirador que el año pasado con Barlow.
Ahora está
para mí falta también un hombre en banquillo que es Dan Peterson, que ahora no está más, que es un hombre que ha hecho este equipo, que ha hecho la mentalidad, los sistemas, la mentalidad defensiva. Y no veo este año que he visto hasta ahora de Tracer, el mismo equipo defensivo que tenía los últimos años.
¿Tú crees que Dan Peterson, el entrenador norteamericano, era fundamental en el Tracer de Milán, un equipo que vaya a jugar a Copa de Europa contra el Fútbol Club de Barcelona?
Bueno, creo que un hombre como Peterson, hay solo uno en Europa. Es un hombre que estaba en 8 o 9 años, ha construido este equipo poco a la vez, muy pocos cambios, tiene su mano dentro del equipo. Cualquier equipo que sigue con el entrenador por muchos años puede decir que hay un buen club detrás, como Real Madrid o como Barcelona. Creo también Juventud. C'è un programa, organización, siempre dan resultados, creo.
Aí ven os últimos casi un minuto para que remate o partido, un partido que xa nestes últimos compases é un auténtico correcalles, por así decirlo, sin ningún tipo de sistema defensivo, é o xogador que colle, o xogador que atira. Xa o número 24, Pressey, un home que estivo o ano pasado no equipo de Milwaukee, é un aleiro de 1,98, 30 anos de idade, que xogou poucos minutos neste torneo. As estadísticas de Marciulionis, 15 puntos, 4 rebotes neste partido frente ao Milwaukee. Sigue presionando o que decía antes, o orgullo dos xogadores soviéticos. Con todo perdido, sigue presionando aí en toda a cancha.
Los soviéticos tienen su orgullo y no quieren, se deben perder a luchar hasta el último.
Y han rebajado el marcador bastante.
Sí, están prácticamente a 30 puntos. Cuando llegaron a perder, perdendo de 40 e tantos, aí teñen o tempo, 39 segundos para o final. Marciulionis. Agora sí. Antonio Marciulionis é un xogador, polo menos aquí vímolo pouco, despois do mesmo vimos cando foi en Atenas, pareceme un base dun gran porvenir dentro do equipo da Unión Soviética.
Es un base que tiene tiro exterior y tiene una gran fuerza para entrar a canasta. Entonces, o sea, prácticamente lo tiene todo para ser un base. Ahí lo debemos defender.
Ainda que agora comentou
personal, pero
tengo falta personal.
Tiene por venir en la... Yo creo que es un poco el complemento del otro base que tiene la Unión Soviética, Walter. Walter no es tan fuerte como él, pero es un gran tirador también.
Walter es un hombre que jugó pocos minutos neste partido. Mokeski utilizou de principio a T-Shock e durante moitos minutos a Marciulionis. Lanzamentos último fallado por Garland, o veterano Tarakanov. E fixen vostedes o que son xa os últimos segundos deste partido, con continuos erros nos dous cincos. Recordamos de que estes partidos entre Milwaukee, Tracer de Milán e a Unión Soviética foron arbitrados por un colexiado da NBA e por un árbitro FIBA. Os dous árbitros FIBA participantes foron o grego Rigas e o checoslovaco Kozleva. Neste partido, igual que o do Tracer, é o grego Rigas quen está arbitrando. 127-100. O partido a punto de rematar, lanzamento de Volkov. 5 segundos, erros continuos e rematou o partido co resultado de Milwaukee 127 a Unión Soviética 100. Aí teñen a Mokeski e o resultado final que dicíamos, Milwaukee 127, selección da US 100 e o adestrador Mokeski dirixíndose ao seu